So our application, it's called Recipes2Go. Uh, it's a recipe management application that allows users to save, search, and browse culinary creations. Users are able to sign up and log in and then begin saving recipes. So the main features of the application are searching for recipes by keyword. The API retrieves real-time data from the Ninja's recipe API, and then it displays the recipes with titles, the ingredients, and the instructions. Users can save their favorite recipes to their profile, and when they save, they gain achievements using Game Kit. They can also check the nutrition facts of recipes via the WebKit. They can also find the nearest grocery stores via MapKit to begin creating. So this main system design, the user is first presented with the splash screen. They have the option to either sign up or log in as an existing user. If they sign up, they're prompted to fill out their information, including their username, their name, their email, and their password. And then they're brought back to the login screen. After the login screen, the user is at the home screen where they will see a list of recipes that are pulled from the API. The user can select any of the recipes and they will see the description and the ingredients. And then they also have the option for selecting between the tab bar controller. So the next one is searching, where they can search up any recipes that they're looking for. The tab next to that is the achievements tab, where they will see their achievements. And the last tab is the map kit tab, where they can search for a location, and then it will filter the nearest grocery stores within 5 kilometers closest to them. They can select a grocery store and then get directions to that grocery store. The user, when they search for recipes, they have the option to save the recipe. They click the Save Recipe button, and it saves to their profile in the database. On that screen, they also have the option to see the nutrition of the recipe. Also, they have the option to see the nutrition of the recipe when they search for recipes.
So now just to discuss the code a bit. So this first little bit of code is the login page. So this is the main page of code. Here we are accessing the database via main delegate variable that is connected to the app delegate from the code we practice in class. We're first ensuring that the input is valid and not empty, and then we check if that user exists. If the user exists based on the content from the database, it moves on to the home page. Otherwise, it will show an alert. And one of the features on the controller is the segue to the sign-up page. So if the user does not exist, it will create an error, and then it will go to the sign-in page. And this is also connected to the database, and it is using the user data class. Here we have the basic input validation to check if the passwords match, check that our email or user is not already in the system. And once all the checks are done, then we can instantiate the object with the .initWithData function, and once successfully inserted, the page goes back to the login page so the user can log in and continue forward. So following the forward page, so the main home page once you're logged in is this browse page. So most of the documentation here for the code came from the Calorie Ninjas API. And all the controllers have a tab bar at the bottom using a tab bar controller, which was configured following this YouTube video. This is the home page, so the user will see it right away, and it uses table view and API. So the decoding process, which is seen about right here, I found that also through another little bit of searching through YouTube. It is to correctly decode the JSON object to the correct object in our controller. We also we have to get an API key for the header, and then it starts a URL session to display the data. We are adding it to a recipe struct, which will allow us to display the correct information on the page, and it will further connect to the details page. So when the cell is selected in the table view, the user is shown the full ingredients and instructions, as well as the ability to segue back or view a web view for a nutrition input. And then this last thing here is the search function. It's similar to the browse, except that the query string is here is being pulled directly from the search bar compared to the preloaded query that we set up. It also grabs the information from the API and decodes it with the JSON decoder. The user has the ability to view the nutrition web view, but as well as scroll through all the content with the scroll view.
So this code here is for the achievements view controller. This controller rewards users for saving recipes. Every recipe saved levels up the user. They all start at level 1, and the highest level is level 6. So every achievement saved levels up the user to a maximum of 6 levels, but they can save more than 6 recipes. In view did load and view will appear, we call load achievements, which updates the current level in achievements list. The user's level is based on the number of recipes, which we get from the app delegate. And any only unlocked achievements will be shown on the achievements tab. If it's locked, the row will be hidden. The next code that I did was the saved recipes view controller. It handles the save recipes from the SQL database. The app delegate handles the database access. Each recipe will show the title, the ingredients, and the instructions in a custom cell. When the recipe is tapped, an alert will show all the details of that recipe.
So this is the view controller for the directions. It's one of the map features that will be shown shortly. So going over the code, essentially, we're calculating the route from a source point, which is going to be usually the starting point that the user addresses. For now, it's defaulted to the Sheridan College Oakville Trafalgar campus, and you basically it then checks for groceries nearby, and then if you click on the grocery that is nearby, this is where it calculates the route, and essentially it goes through each step using the map kit directions endpoint, and essentially just reloads each data point in the table view and just shows you a step-by-step on how to get to the exact route or the destination. And then for the next code, so the next code is the general view controller for the map features. I originally wanted to show this first, but the directions one showed up first. For the map view controller, first we have the search feature. Essentially, the search feature or the default location is set to Sheridan Oakville campus. But if for testing purposes and if the user wanted to search from a certain location, they're able to with the search bar at the top. So we use the map kits like local search to make a request, and you're able to then look for the location the address of what you've searched. And right under that, there is a function called search with completion. And essentially, similar to how Google Maps and Apple Maps gives you recommendations on what you search, this is one of the cool things that MapKit has, which includes completion. And so if you type in certain like some words, it'll autocomplete to that destination. And then on top of that, so if you search up the location, it then sets the location from that search because, like I said, the default location is Sheridan College, and with our emulator, if you press the current location, it actually defaults to San Francisco. So that's why the current location is just defaulted to Sheridan, but it sets the location to that if you search. And here we have the center map function. It's pretty straightforward, and it does search grocery stores within a 5 kilometer radius. And here is just another function that just adds the marker of the location. So this is essentially the starting point for the for when you start. It's going to be defaulted as Sheridan, like I said, but when you search, it automatically switches to that location and it sets as a start location. And here is the most important part, which is the nearby grocery stores searching functionality. So essentially, it uses using MapKit. I just made it so that it searches the using the grocery store quote, and essentially within the 5 kilometer radius, it then checks which are grocery stores, and then it displays them all in a very clean view, which you'll see soon shortly in our demo.
Tech, we used the SQLite database that has the user's data as well as the saved recipe data. So it's going to pull, they'll both have their own IDs, but the saved recipe is pulling the user ID to create sessions. The next thing that we also used was the web views kit. So that is we're using for our nutrition web view. When the user pulls up on the details page, they are able to hit the nutrition button. That way they can put in the specific ingredients and figure out how many calories or anything is total for that recipe. There is the map kit, which is what we're using for the map controller and directions controller. And then we have the game kit, which is giving the leaderboard and achievements. So when a user saves X amount of recipes, they'll level up, which would tie into our future directions portion. IB outline and IB action just for all of the variables and the functions. The JSON decoder was for the API decoding. That is just to take in the response from the API, make sure it's being decoded into the right object for our application. The app delegate, which holds all of the code for the database. Dictionary, which the API stores it as a dictionary, so it has its items, and then it has all of the data it pulls in. We use the tab bar controller for our all of our screens. That way it was easy to go from one thing to another. And then as well as using scroll view, which we didn't learn in class either, for being able to view everything in a recipe. Was encountered, one of the main issues that I had was the API configuration. I kept running into errors in terms of an internal server error or not a correct structure for the response. So I had to update the struct for recipes with the recipes items array on top of the actual content. But the original free API we found is deprecated, so I found a similar one, but there were limitations in how many browse searches can appear. So when we run the demo, you'll only see the one search opposed to many that we wanted to have, as the API would only let us call one, as paying for a subscription was going to be too much. And then we also had the long text overflow. Started happening once on the detail page when, depending on the recipe, the data was really long. So scroll view was then implemented on the search screen. That way, all of the data could be shown.
Some of the problems that I encountered included for getting the achievements to save to the user profile in the database. After creating a table, I was able to link the achievements specifically to the users. But in achievements, I am using GK notification banner. And after iOS 17, that's been deprecated. Now, while some of the teammates might be using the VM with the older iOS, I'm using a MacBook, so that had some interference, but in the end, we were able to get it to run and just have the notification there, but it does work on all of our VMs. And similarly, for saving recipes, it was a matter of creating another table and saving it to the user's profile inside the overall database.
So in terms of my limitations with website scraping, so originally we were supposed to scrape ingredients from the different grocery stores that were listed. I found that when I tried scraping using Swift Soup, uh, because it would automatically detect that it was a scraper, we were limited when it came to that because there was no way to add a proxy with Swift Soup. And on top of that, it only parsed out HTML elements. So hitting an endpoint and scraping from that wasn't possible with this. So compared to other scraping tools like Scrapey and Selenium using Python. But if we were to dig deep into web scraping using those tools, that would be out of scope and it wouldn't really benefit us since we'd be working on Python web scraping rather than Swift. So that's why we ended up scrapping the web scraping idea due to the limited web scraping capabilities of Swift Soup.
So in the future, we plan on adding a number of features to the application. The first is an AV speech synthesizer. This would allow users to search by using their voice. They would hit a search icon and they would speak and it would convert that into text and then search the API for recipes. Another feature would be for users to create recipes, upload and share. They can add images and share. They can also create a favorites list, which allows them to curate a list of favorite food that they like or recipes. And then obviously dark mode just for accessibility and for users that like a darker look to the app. So now we're going to demo the application. So this is the home screen. The user is presented with a screen where they have to log in with their username and password. If they like, they can sign up for an account. They would require their name, email, username, password, and then to confirm their password. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my account. And when it's incorrect, there's a pop-up that says error with a sound. Just for demonstration purposes, we have the password not blanked out. When we hit login, this is the home screen where the API is pulling this recipe. So when I click on it, we're presented with the title, the description, the ingredients, and then the description of the recipe. If we click on nutrition, it takes us to a web view. And here we can search for any nutrition information that we'd like. We can save the recipe here. And as you can see, this is GameKit. So when the user saves their first recipe, they get a notification saying that you've saved your first. So if we go back to the home screen, we'll go over to achievements. Their first achievement is here. All users, when they create an account, they start by default at level 1 for a maximum of 6 levels that they can achieve. That involves saving 5 recipes. So if we go back and click on a recipe, save, we can see that we've got our second achievement. So we've saved our second recipe, and now we're at level 3. We can go over to saved recipes. Here, the user sees a list of their saved recipes. And when they click on it, they get a quick overview of the ingredients and the description and the instructions. If we go over to the search icon, we can search for any recipes that we're looking for. So let's go with pizza, and it'll show us the ingredients and the instructions to prepare. We can go sushi, gives us the ingredients and the instructions to prepare. And then we can even get the nutrition information from this page as well. Just as an example. going over to the map view, as Sheridan said, we start at our default location at Sheridan College, and we can change our starting point. So let's just say that we're in Toronto, and we want to find the nearest grocery stores. We'll just click search nearby, and the list of all the grocery stores in the nearby area show up. So we can select any one of them. Let's just say we want to go to Longo's. They'll locate it for us on the map, and it will draw a line for the directions to get there. Get directions, and it gives us all the turn-by-turn navigation. And that is the application.